All right, we will call the October 28th Parks and Rec meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Steve,
Here.
Andrew,
Here.
Beth,
Here.
Emma,
Here.
and Cindy.
Here.
All right, we'll go on to first period for public comment. If you have a public comment you'd like to make, please approach the lectern and turn the microphone on. It doesn't look like any public in the audience would like to speak. Is there anybody online, Nate?
There is, but doesn't look like any of them are interested in making public comment at this time.
Okay. If that's the case, we'll move on to approval of committee minutes from October 7th, 2025.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
All right, we have a motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, any other discussion? Not hearing any. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Sounds like the ayes have it. All right, we'll go on to review of playground design, donor sign design, and budget for Eckert Playground Project with possible action.
Okay. So just to bring you up to speed where we're at on the playground, we've been back and forth with Play by Design, finalizing the playground. The one that you see currently on the screen is not the final design. The next one you'll see, it was the closer final design, but we're still not there yet. As you might have heard from Steve, he's in the process of updating some of the questions that we had for him in regards to the 3 trees in the main playground. I'll just move on to the next one. So you'll see that nature area. In talking with some arborists, we thought it would be beneficial to try to have a kind of a section around those trees so kids and adults won't go through and compact the soil in those areas. But in talking with him, I think both me and Steve agree that's not what we were thinking when we were talking with him. So he's updating that. The sidewalk around the playground, originally we had talked about that for walkers, parents to just walk around and exercise as their kids play. Due to budget and some other things, we thought maybe we would take that out as well. The fence is still in place. Which fence, we don't know for sure. You'll see you have the picket fence that's showing in the renderings. They took out some of the shade structure on the picnic tables. But currently this is the playground design that we're starting to fundraise for. Kim and the leadership team, about 2 weeks ago, we started kind of getting feelers out and started asking people for donations. So you'll continue to see us out and about and seeing what we can bring in. Our goal is to start right now and see where we kind of set or where we kind of end up before Thanksgiving and see how it's going and continue as the process goes. But we want to we have a list about 300 people. We want to at least try to make contact with everybody before Thanksgiving and see where they fall. I know it's a big ask, but that's the leadership team. We're trying to do that. So again, based on fundraising, we're fundraising off this design right now. It still has the zip line. It still has the spider climber kind of up here. Still got a lot of ADA accessibility play components. The spinner, which is like a merry-go-round. Some high-low bars. One of these bars is lower for handicap accessible, and same with this one. And then they put the higher ones here so friends or brothers and sisters can play along each other. And then some sign panels down here, and the slide still, again, ADA can get up here, accessible can get up here, slide down, but then would need somebody if they were needed to transfer into a wheelchair or another mobile device, would have to push them back to the concrete pad, and then they could go up around again. We still currently have the port in place in the drawing, with 2 ADA accessible swings. Again, all this could change depending on the fundraising and the dollar amounts we get. But again, this is the design that we thought encompassed what the community feedback that was presented over months ago, to include all those feedbacks. The Dragon, I can get this. This is still the Dragon right here with the mouth of the Dragon. This is a Victory climber. You run up there like Ninja Warrior, run up that. Still the spiral slide, 12 foot off the ground. So it still has 4 slides. And then the tot area, in this area. So Steve, do you want to add anything? Because I know you've been working with Lee from Play by Design as well.
Yeah, I guess, well, the slide that is coming kind of at the tree, it's no longer a triple slide, it's a double slide. I think we're trying to maximize play value with the funds that we're gonna have, I think is the idea. So all in all, I mean, I think we're on the right path. We just have to really hammer down on fundraising, and definitely need to get the buy-in from the community for a community build if that's the direction we're gonna go.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I was curious about the shade. You said, is that not going to, was that just for cost again?
Yeah, but it's also, if we're keeping all the trees, I don't know if you've been to that section of the park, but there's no reason to have additional shade if that tree is providing the shade. So it is a cost saving measure plus do we need it?
Well,
Probably
you
not.
can always get it if you do, right?
Exactly. I mean, it's one of those things where down the road, if something happens, yeah, we could figure out a way, but I don't think it's necessary at this point.
It's what we have right now with like the little seating area in there is mostly just shaded by a tree.
Correct.
Yeah.
But like, it's in a little different spot, but I mean, it still would never, I don't think, necessitate a shade structure at this point.
And then you're saying whatever was shown up there by the 3 trees is not there like that anymore?
Well, basically, he's just got it as grass. And I think, does he have a fence, or like, this one's just a top down, but I think we were talking with Imlin from Tree Living Care, and he was talking about how the different trees in the park have different soil compaction and how that affects the root systems of the trees. The one that has the best soil right now is currently the one tree that's right there, because it's kind of boxed in an unused portion of the playground. So he's like, the soil's really fluffy. You know, the kids don't get in there and play, so they don't play on top of the root system. And he's not wrong. But then we're like, well, if we're going to all of a sudden bring all the trees into the playground, I think there might have been some miscommunication, because I was kind of under the impression maybe we could build something around them to whether it be like a seating area, something that wouldn't allow you to, or want you to jump over and play in between, just to kind of give those trees a little breathing room, so to speak. And then he came back with a grass area, and it was like, well, because he has it right now is that's kind of the stage. The little tiny green part right there, it's their
Loading
lumber,
stage.
but it's a ADA accessible stage, so you could wheel a chair on there. Because there is that performance aspect, I think, that our current park has that. But he was even saying, you could even put just like, what is it, stumps, like, if you're cutting down trees in the neighborhood, if you put stumps in there, they don't have to be like fixed things, to sit on. So it's a neat idea and low cost. So we liked it. We're not keen on there being grass in the middle of there, especially if now we have to get in there and mow it. That doesn't maybe line up. So yeah, it's not 100%, but it's closer, I think, what our final design will be.
I'm surprised they have the little merry-go-round things that you call them, because they used to have that on the playground when I was little, and I got so sick on those, but I would go every day, I'd go right back and do it.
Well, they're not as like high up anymore. They're kind of closer to the ground, and
No,
this
this
one I
is a
think.
kindergarten one, it was
Yeah?
low.
All right. Well, this one is meant to be so you can. It's kind of like you sit in it, but I think if you're sitting in it the right way, you can't fall out of it, kind of thing. So
So any other questions on the playground design? Okay. So if you look at the entrance area, the next slide will show you the donor wall that Kim and Angie. Oh,
well, they did modify this one where the space shuttle is actually
oh yeah.
you can get into like essentially the space shuttle cab or whatever, the cockpit. So they made it larger, and it's still a climbing wall on the side you can see here. So it has handholds and you can climb up it, but then you can also get into the cockpit from the other side. So that also took some talking through to kind of, it's like, here's what we have. We don't necessarily need that same thing, but could you modify what we have or what you designed to include that? And I think it's a nifty design. I like the idea that you can use the outside of it too. So
So
sorry.
you would run up that wall and then there's a window right here, like you're in the spaceship. And then climb the outside. And again, this is all kind of built up to wrap you around, and then to the right, these are all like different climbing ways. There's this is like a net coming down, and then like a 3 spinner, and then different again, we were trying to get that serpentine where you could stay, Flora's lava, where you could stay on the playground and access different play equipment. So back to the next slide. If nobody has questions, we can come back, but either this side or this side would be where we're thinking about putting a donor wall. And Kim, if you want to talk a little bit more about this. Oops, sorry, there's another slide. So if you can, it's hard to see on this one, but yeah, the dragon would be artistic of like using this. So the next one is the donor wall. So again, at that entrance, this is, it's not stone, it's like well.
It's a 4x8. It's 2 4x8 sheets, so it'll be 4x16. And it will be in color, but we did not have all the color put on it now. And you can see the different size fonts for, depending on the donation. And we've both met with Sarah Peterson from Lucid. And the material will be the material they use for outdoor signs. And you can have an edging around it. I can't remember the name of the material. I have it written down somewhere, but it's typically what you use. And then the names and all the donor things can just go on small pieces of the same material, and you just can attach it so that number one, it's more cost effective than to have somebody hand paint. Number two, you can add people to the wall continuously. And if, for instance, if a business would give $10,000, they can have their logo on the sign also. So.
Is it plastic or wooden or?
No,
metal
it's
or-
a composite. It's got some aluminum, it's got some metal in it, but it's not heavy. It's what they typically make outdoor signs out of now. And I cannot remember the name of it. But I can maybe find it in my notes before we're done tonight, but yeah. I think it'll be pretty cool and you know, if you the smallest one is $100, you can still have your name on there. And it just gets bigger for the amount you donate. It won't have the dollar amounts behind it. It'll just be in different size fonts, different size of the font.
Gonna have the dragon on it like that?
Yeah, the dragon and the
color.
walls on the side and everything, that's all. Yeah, and but it will be in color. That's
Yeah.
just a black and white sketch.
Looks pretty good.
I think that concept's really cool. It's pretty neat.
And we could extend panels, right?
You
if we
can
need
add, we
to.
can add to it if we need to and everything. I mean, there's really a lot of room to put names on there, and depending on what happens, yeah, it's easily expanded, but we decided we needed the double length for it.
That's smart.
So,
You sent it to me.
Good job.
Yeah. That's the donor wall that we're considering again. This gets into the budget. So the current budget for the playground, again, the non-structured playground elements. So that's the swings, the zip lines, the surfacing. That comes to $157,404. Again, all based on fundraising. If we need to, we've already talked, like, is there components of the playground that we could, eliminate? But hopefully we don't have to get to that point, but we are talking about that as well. The custom structures, so that's the tot area and the 5 to 12. So basically the big structures of the playground, $397,837. Professional installation, 177,470. I did compare that to Lee Burke that we were working with, and it was about roughly the same amount. And then again, the credit option would be if we have 40 volunteers per day, 21 years or older, we could get a $75,000 credit. We still are in talks with Play by Design to determine if it is 75 or what else amounts do we have to pay for. So the total budget that they sent to us was $664,211.
So just to elaborate on what Kale said regarding the volunteer credit is you'll see in the fine print red there that if there's a pre-construction visit required for a community build, it's $1,500 plus travel and lodging. So what Kale was essentially referring to, again, just to clarify, was like, okay, it's $75,000 volunteer credit. Does that take into account the ancillary costs we would have to spend for somebody to come for a pre-site visit? Because once you start taking $1,500 plus travel and lodging, that can really eat into that cost savings. And, and then there's things like if we're doing volunteers, how much money are you spending on volunteer supplies, whether it be food or materials or whatever it may be. So we're just trying to confirm those numbers and to make sure it's a net savings and not, it doesn't get eaten away by other costs.
So Nate had put this together. Sorry, it's I thought it was gonna be bigger. So I'll kind of generalize it, but this was all the cost from the previous two slides. and then other costs that we thought we would have to come up with. So, like fencing gate.
Oh, that's
Oh.
me. Go ahead. I'm trying to.
Fencing gate, we just threw a number in, that we received from a fencing guy, about $41,000. We had talked about the need, well, I wouldn't say the need, the want from some of the members of the community, additional zip line. You can get like a 2-bay zip line. Again, it's not shown in the thing, but if we're fundraising and we get to that amount, could we put in a 2-bay zip line? So that would be an additional 15,000. So we've tried to come up with everything that we thought we would maybe need: concrete, for that slab, contingency. So with all that, we're thinking about $771,000, and I can't read that off. 511. We do have a major donor already, and with some grant money, so that's 110,000. We're still waiting on the city on the TID 6, the capital improvement. We had put in there 375. The leadership team thought, could we up that? But we're still in talks with that. So right now we have received 46,000 of fundraising dollars. So we're at 240,411 that we would need to fundraise if, again, we decided to build the current playground as is. And we had talked about, as a leadership team, let's go out there, make contacts with everybody, see where we're at come, Christmas or Thanksgiving, Christmas. We want to get your approval that to continue to go with this, but knowing that we might have to, come back and scale down some areas to meet the fundraising goals.
Cale, did you say it did include the 2 zip lines or not?
This budget does, the playground itself on the sheet does not.
That'd be 15,000 you could get rid of if you decided not to have.
Yeah, yeah. This is all our wants on the screen. And again, the all-in budget would be 770 if we got the donations, the money from the TID, and then fundraise $240,000.
That's them building it.
With the,
Community build.
this would be a community build.
Oh, that's with the 75,000?
Yeah, it's up. You can see in yellow, volunteer credit.
Okay, I missed that.
So again, as we had talked about previous meetings, everything keeps going up in price. So, and it's hard to, say, fundraising, hopefully we can get it, but we just don't know yet. We just started a week and a week and a half ago. So. Any questions on the budget?
I think the donor wall will help a lot. People will like that.
Yeah, the idea is that if you give, you get recognized, and then it doesn't call out dollar amounts, but it's just recognition. And it doesn't matter how large you get recognized. So that's the idea behind that. Any other questions? Nate?
No, I mean, one of the things we'll have to talk about at council, but would be good for you guys to start thinking about here is that, and if it's okay with you, Cale, I'm just gonna swap out the screens here just so we can see it a little easier. The project is significantly more than what it was when originally it was sort of set up as a $600,000 project. I think that's kind of where it was when this all started going down. And so the fact that we're $175,000 higher, it's concerning. And we are certainly we're trying to accommodate all the public's requests, right? So if you look in there, like that fence alone, fence and gates, that's $41,000. Adding a second zip line, I don't know if that was technically a public's request, but it is something that we see a lot of playgrounds wanting. There's a high use of those, so on and so forth. So one of the things that the leadership team, especially Angie Lawrence, who's kind of in charge of fundraising, has pushed the city for contributing more. Our draft CIP, as Kale said, shows a $375,000 contribution, right? 425, I think, is a little bit more what the Eckhart Playground Committee is pushing for, which we could do. But what else has to come off the capital improvement plan in order to divert more money to Eckhart Playground? And that's a conversation we'll have at council. You'll see here in this note that when we did the borrowing for the 2025 debt issue, what we had in there was roughly 375 for Eckhart Playground and 90,000 for other parks. Now that was just open-ended thinking. It required more approvals, but one of the things you could think about is like, if you're comfortable with diverting $50,000 more to this project to make it more feasible, you know, from Kale's perspective, what is given up, right? And him and I talked a little bit about like what would $50,000 buy, and would he prefer to keep that money to help other projects and challenge Eckhart Playground to raise the money, or you know what I mean? It's like, it's got to come from somewhere. And that's my struggle with where we're at with this right now. Is it is the marquee playground. There's been a lot of demands by the public on what it includes, but man, it's a tall order. And you know, Cindy knows how hard it is to raise money. Trina knows how hard it is to raise money. We've raised money for the bleachers before, and at some point, is it too much to ask? And I do think from Angie's perspective, we are concerned that expecting the leadership team to raise almost $300,000 is too much to ask. And so that's kind of where we're sitting at right now, where the other option is value engineering. Like the idea of going through is like, I know we want these things, but is this really worth the money? Right? Is this really a priority versus spending it on something else? So that's, I think, where, from my perspective, I don't know if Kale wants you to really ruminate on anything else, but that's something I would really encourage this committee to think about right now and make a recommendation up to council, because we have a big meeting tonight. It'd be good for this park and rec team to kind of have a conversation about what their feeling is on it.
I think we ended up at this place, like it is very reflective of all the feedback and the push that people gave, right? And then also part of that was a sentiment that if it was more aligned with what the community wanted, that fundraising it'd be more engagement, but that's always like, we're sort of testing the waters there. But the question, like, should the leadership, like the park committee, be responsible for all that fundraising on your own? Like, I think the way that was presented to me was, we want all these things, and the community showed up to tell us what they wanted, but now they have to participate in the fundraising. So there has to be some sort of shared ownership. And I'm very cautious to like give you guys work, but I kind of lean towards more of the like, what did you say? Sort of more like you get what you can afford. And if people want to fundraise for certain components at certain times, I don't know if it's possible, but are there things that you can add in later if needed?
Doesn't the fence come
The
to
fence
mind?
is one of those, yeah. It's a big-
Exactly. It's kind of,
I know you
mean-
guys want a fence, but maybe, you know, you could get some donors for that, Agri Center and some other people. I don't
That's
know.
kind of where I'm leaning, is for bigger donors, is to see if certain businesses would take a bigger chunk on a component of it, right? That represents where there's some ownership around that, or some, not necessarily the money amount, but that's something that they've helped select into this, what we can do, and then they select in, I don't know.
right. I think once we're finalized on a design, then they can give us an actual cost per component. So then you can actually say, hey, this slide, whatever, it costs this much. And it won't have their name on the apparatus, but it will definitely go on the donor wall, right? So it's just hard to operate in the hypothetical.
I like the idea of like what if stuff that we could plan for maybe 2027 or after sidewalk fence, if the second zip line can be added on.
Yeah.
I mean, our new building and work was designed for expansion, so if we had to build on, we already have the land bought, it's ready to go, we build on the outside, attach. If that can be kind of the same concept where it's built for expansion, not to make it bigger, but if we can add certain things in later, if we don't hit the goal of 300,000.
And that's kind of where we're at as well. It's just one of those things I think we need. Maybe, do you have any recommendations of things you'd like to see go first, if that's the way we have to operate? You know what I mean? It's more or less, this is kind of, I think, the top of where we're going to get, right? Like, I don't think we're going to get more than this, but we do need to have a, I guess, contingency plan, so to speak.
You asking specifically like what structures would be the priority versus which ones are, oh.
Yeah.
Not being a child myself. I mean, the fence and the sidewalk is really a more obvious one because it could be done afterwards and it's a big chunk, right? It's like, what did you quote at 40,000? That drops it quite a bit.
So in regards to the fence and sidewalk, there's gonna be a cost no matter what in regards to a border. So if we didn't do a fence, if we didn't do a sidewalk, we still need to come up with a border that holds all those wood chips in. So we can't just say 41's gonna be gone. I don't know how much a border is around that whole thing, so. Those are just some things that we still have to consider too, like, on the playground itself.
Kim, do you have any thoughts on this? Having gone through the whole process of community input, what seems to be the high priorities?
I think the priorities really depend on kind of who you talk to, but, there's littler pieces of equipment that can probably be left off. I think the main design is the most important thing. And then, there are other pieces. I mean, I don't know what'll happen. We obviously, we do need to try and get more people involved in fundraising, and, I've reached out to a lot of people. The school is going to do something with the kids, trying to generate excitement and get the staff involved. And I have that meeting on Thursday. So, we're trying to, I think it's just to generate excitement. And I think people are okay. And I've told everyone, if we don't raise enough money, something has to give. But people, they all have different opinions. It's really all over the place, but I think the main structure, the zip line, the spider climber, those are the big items that people want. The other things we can add to, we can change later, put more later, but
Are you saying like the tot section, the main section, the
That-
spider climber,
yeah, and the
zip line?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the swings later, the monkey bars later?
Well, you could add any of those things later, and I'm still, and Angie and I have talked a lot about it, and we're still pretty confident we can get people. It's just, even small donations are fine. It's like whatever people can give, and we've got a lot of contacts to make. It's just, taking the time to make those contacts. I've probably already got 25 or 30 contacts done. So, and hopefully they'll all come through with donations. I've talked to them all personally, handed them a sheet and stuff. So, and then the school, hopefully, we can get some staff to participate as well as the students. And just even that, generating the enthusiasm and the knowledge and getting it out there. You know, kind of once we get through this step 2, trying to do more PR, tell people, you know, maybe people will contact us, not have to always reach out. I'm hoping to get Dallas to work on some fundraising too, and with a different, you know, they just different groups of people so we can touch different parts of the community.
I'm wondering too about like online or like I don't know if it's GoFundMe or whatever you use, but in my circumstance, like my family doesn't live here. My
Right.
grandparents.
If
and
you
there's
go
like
to the foundation website,
Okay,
there is an online
And-
contribution. There's a way to do it. Now, I have not looked at it myself. But it's there and people have contributed through that.
yeah.
So
that's
you
a
can
good
just go to the
avenue.
Baroque Area Foundation, and
So it's gonna go through Baroque Area Foundation. Okay.
that's
Sorry,
where
I'm
the
not on
money is
social
all
media, so I
going
don't know
into.
anything.
Yeah, they're a pass through.
Yeah,
Yeah, GoFundMe is great, but they do take a cut of whatever's raised, and
yeah,
they're also, I don't believe, so the pass through, the foundation is a 501c3, so it is tax deductible, where I don't believe GoFundMe is. I don't think.
Is it a pledge that people are gonna be making or
people
straight
can make a pledge or they can just make a contribution.
3-year? How's that work?
2 years is the max, which we have set. Asking them if they're going to make a pledge that they make their contribution, their first contribution, and then they pledge their second part of their contribution for in 2026. So
First
that's
payment
all on
has to
the
be
form, and I don't know if Kale doesn't have enough, I have other
Yeah.
forms too. So everyone can, you got that on the back of your form, it tells kind of some of the details.
Yeah, and the only thing I wanted to kind of piggyback off Nate, being the park and rec director, it's a hard position to be in because again, this is the flagship park. And I know fundraising it's getting up there, but to take 90 grand from other parks when I know how much need there is for our other parks, playgrounds and just so that's for me to think about it. Yes, I want this program or this project to go, but like, where do we stop? And my recommendation would be to, again, hopefully we could get the fundraising. If we don't, for some reason, scale back some of these, the design of this playground. I know we had talked as a leadership team, like, we want everything at this park, but the other parks need it too. So do we take, the spider climber and down the road, put that at a different park to get people to use those parks as well? So it's kind of one of those hard things that I'm trying to decide on too. Like, we want this park nice, we know it gets used, but we have a lot of needs at the other parks as well.
So what were you proposing before you said something about by November? See what where we're at by Thanksgiving. you
Yeah.
said.
Our goal is to make contact with the 300 and some people on our list that we have, and see, what their response is, and if we're at, 250 or 150,000, can we make a push for that extra 100,000? Or if we're not getting much, do we have to start scaling back and look at plan B to scale down the playground a little bit?
So what would that look at how would that look from us tonight? What are we're gonna forward onto the council?
The biggest thing from my perspective, and the thing that people on the leadership committee have been asking about, is how much is the city willing to put into this from the TID? Right? How much can they commit to from the TID? And that will really help provide it will provide guidance, right? It'll provide guidance and information, because that's been an unknown. We've typically said, yeah, 375 is what's in the draft, but can the council say, like, from us, based on the TID, it's $400,000 or whatever it may be? At least then that tells the leadership committee, this is what we're in for. If you can't get comfortable with the resulting fundraising number, you need to start thinking about value engineering it down. Right, so that would be the big thing that needs to come out of here is like, yes, the design is on track. We like what we're seeing, all the decisions you made, yep, are good, but this is how much we're gonna contribute to make it happen, and it's in the leadership committee's hands there about what they wanna do. And then if there are substantial changes about what gets cut out of it, then they can bring it back to you. That's just my perspective on it. I don't know if that matches up kind of with what you're saying and.
Sounds right.
Just to rephrase it too, essentially, Kale, what you're saying is like, it doesn't seem sort of justifiable to pull back on other park improvements to fund this. So like the direction we would go is to value engineer it back if we can't meet those fundraising goals. I think that's a great.
That would be my
Yeah.
recommendation, even though we know this is the project at hand right now and we want to see it happen. My personal opinion, I can't justify taking money from other parks when I know those parks are in need as well.
Can you remind everybody what like some of those projects that were on the front end of the? Because I think that's important, right? Like not all of them are necessarily,
On the capital improvement?
yeah, on the capital improvement plan, like just some of the projects that were in the draft plan that we were talking about.
Yeah, so that draft plan that we came up with was from TID 6 would be the Park Bowl Nature Trail, the gravel portion that has been gravel for the last how many years? Softball field updates, that would be more of a backstop. Cause we put so much material on that softball field and it just all washes down the hill. Veterans Memorial, the retaining walls. So we fixed one with help from Public Works this summer. But if you guys noticed, the retaining wall by Proline is slanted and it's at some time it's gonna fall. And then the old city hall space, we're in planning, design planning on that as well. So those were the 4 projects out of with Eckhart Playground. The farm park, the development of the farm park that came from TID 7. And then park and rec vehicle and equipment updates, that's general Bowering. So we have five projects from TID 6. So
And what's interesting is like none of those are actually the traditional parks, right? Like
yeah,
it's a lot of our specialty parks, like the old City Hall site, Veterans Memorial, not saying that they don't need it. Softball field, not necessarily a park as you would originally imagine it. So they're, again, like all those are somewhat needs. But I think it's important for you guys to understand what exactly we're talking about. And it's like the old City Hall site, we had 30,000 allocated to that in the draft budget, just to kind of get something rolling. Cindy, who's been working on the project, kind of steering it, knows that just how much money could be sunk into that if we really wanted to get aggressive about it. And the question is, for the Park and Rec Department, what's the priority?
Cindy?
Well, I personally like staying with the 375 from the TID 6 myself and just seeing how the fundraising goes. Kim and Angie seem confident they can, and you never know for sure till you start trying. No,
I will say Angie is not confident that we can raise 291,000. I think that's on the very upper end of what she's confident. The 200 is where they were feeling much more confident about adding, basically
By
increasing that
Thanksgiving?
by 150% is tough.
by Thanksgiving,
well, no, not fundraising by that, just get a feel.
pledges. I mean, because it could take 2 years to raise that much money.
Right,
So, I mean, when do we have to come up with all this money? I mean, not right away. They don't need the full I don't know how to solve it.
Well, and that's an important question because at some point we're going to have to lock into a contract
Yeah.
with Play by Design for them to get us on their calendar for a build. And How much time they need, I think, is unknown at this point in terms of
Usually
lead time.
about 12 weeks out. You
Okay.
have to.
So 3 months.
You want it all?
No, you have to
You have to pre-buy the material.
pre-buy about 12 weeks out.
So 3 months before we're ready to build, we gotta lock in. So if we're looking at a May build date, that means we have until February to lock in. And that depends on like what their calendar looks like. So it's a short timeline. You're talking 4 months. Now, again, the timeline can always shift accordingly. It's just a matter of how much do we want it to shift. And as Kim has said and Kayla has said, like timeline for it getting built depends on when the fundraising goals met or the financing goals met.
My personal thought is I don't think we need to, like, yes, I know we need to kind of have an idea of what we want to maybe have to cut. I think we need to know in a month where that sits. I don't think increase, I think 375 is a good number, but we got to kind of see where that's at. Because if it's not going to be what we need, then we can start crossing stuff off for the future.
Yeah, that's one way to do it, and the other way would be to back off when we build it, but I know people don't want to be without their playground for a real long time, but yeah, it might be what we have to look at too.
Part of me is just kind of curious about messaging. Like, I'm not on social media. I just don't get my information that way. But when you're trying to communicate back to the community the decision that we have to make and what they asked for, how can you do that in a way that's like sort of predictable that they're going to engage in? Because if you're fundraising for an entire park and then we end up scaling back, is there a way to communicate like, this is like the basic design, this would be all hands on deck, everybody's all in and everybody's contributing to it, like the super supreme park or whatever. So I don't know the best way to message that and communicate that to people, whether that's part of it is motivation, because then they're motivated to donate because they want the thing they've said they wanted. And part of it is also just communicating the reality of the decision that we have if we're going to be doing like a wait and see fundraising.
Well, one thing is Angie and Kim, they do know about stuff like that. Angie's raised a lot of money over the years. So,
I guess in like the scenario, and I don't know who's on your list and who you're calling, but when I think about community-wise fundraising, so these people may not be on the list that you have in front of you. They may not be necessarily major donors. This is like more representational of the people that showed up and gave a lot of community feedback. So I just don't know the communication because I'm not like on social media. I don't see a lot.
And our list is just a guide because I've already contacted and talked to people off the list. The list is just a place to start because we all know other people, and I've had, I've gotten donors that aren't on the list already. So it's a very comprehensive list of people that have donated probably to anything in the past that Angie has. So, it's going to take time and it's going to take people working at it. And that's why we need to, try and get more people to work on the fundraising. Like Cindy knows, it's not an easy thing. It just takes time and takes energy, but we have to, it's like, this is what the community wants. And if this is what you want, then we need to get people to give. And that's just where it's at. And whether we're successful or not and getting the amounts we need, I don't know. But Kale and I have talked about different things that could be cut, that could be added later. There's all kinds of that. And so we'd rather just go knowing this is the amount we really need to do it right. And everyone I talk to, I tell them, if we don't raise enough money, something will give. And we already know that. So we just got to keep plugging away at it.
do you need a motion, I assume, or something?
Yeah, I think a motion coming out of here so then we can take it on the council would be what we're looking for.
I'd make a motion that, is it tentatively approving what we've got in front of us? Is that the right I mean, because we don't have the final plan in front of us.
Correct.
So contingent on the final plan, I'm not exactly sure how to say that, and staying with the TID donation of 375,000. Is that kind of what I need to say, Lori? Okay.
This is AJ, I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
I believe that was an aye. All right. I know, I'm sorry. Sorry, Seth. All right. So now we'll move on to Park and Rec Director updates.
Just a few things were in, oops.
You want that?
No, I'll just read off. I don't need to put that up. Just a few things in regards to updates. We are currently in process of winterizing all the parks. Shelters have been shut down, or take that back. The bathrooms at Eckhart have been shut down as of October 15th. Most of the shelters are picnic tables are stored away and garbage cans are shut. Lori, I spoke out a turn last meeting. Next week, we will look to shut down Eckhart Large Shelter. Water at the Park Bowl has been turned off and shut down. Electricity has been turned off at most of those places. So, again, we're finalizing mowing, anything that needs to be trimmed up, and then leaves. We're trying to get at those sections and mulching those or picking those up and taking those out of the parks. Flag football season ended on the 12th at Westby. When they had a tournament and good showing by a lot of Viroqua teams. So it was definitely a successful year. We did have large numbers and large participants on the teams. So I think that was good and bad. It was hard to get kids in all the time, but it helped with coaching as well because we were limited coaching staff. So next year we'll have to look at numbers and see how we want to do that. But we pulled a few new coaches in, so I'm hoping they'll continue to stay with the program next fall. We're prepping for returning summer staff. Normally we try to get those out in December to the returning staff, give them until the holidays when they're back on break, seeing who's returning, and then new hiring will start in January. Because right around the corner, summer starts. We're activity guide. We're starting to meet with the library, the chamber, the swimming pool, the school district to set up the summer activity guide. There might be a few changes in that. So looking forward to that. Pickleball fall session. We're in the third week. That takes place at the school. Numbers were down a little bit. We planned for 32 people to sign up. That's the most we can handle. 20 signed up for advanced and 23 signed up for beginners. Last year, I think we were pretty much full on both of them. So numbers are down in pickleball. For the fall, we'll see how that compares to the winter because we'll start a winter session in January. And with colder temperatures, I think that hurt us this year. It was so nice for the long time. People probably just put it off and didn't sign up. Update on the Lions Club. They were going to paint our shelters this fall. 2 rain dates, so we put that off into the spring. So we'll make contact with them and see if we can get a spring painting date. We're working with a cross-country ski group. I think it's some of the Vernon Trails people that help there. And the golf course, I talked with the golf course. They are okay with us using the golf course again for cross-country ski trails. But we're going to change it up because normally we do what I consider the front 9 right out. I know it's some of the back 9. But the front nine, we do a big loop, and talking with this group, with the sun and the wind, it's not ideal to do trails on that front nine. So they said spend more time on the back nine if we do trails. So we're meeting on Wednesday or Thursday of this week to kind of develop a plan for a trail. And then, as we had just talked for an hour, playground fundraising is in full swing, so. Any questions about parks or recreation programs?
You mentioned water being shut off. Does the water at the renovation of the Broca Welcome Center, are they gonna have access to water? I know they were using it for something. You know,
That's
the
a-
garden hoses.
Yeah, that's a good question. Normally, the utilities winterizes that one, so I'll have to talk to Greg on that.
They're waiting for
Oh.
the plumber now to come in, so I assume they would want water. I don't know how that works. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. This water from the street, they're gonna be hooking up, not the water where your hose bibs are.
Anything else? All right. Guess we'll move on to second period for public comment. Seeing public in the audience, just come on up, hit the button.
Good
And
evening.
yeah,
Thank you guys. It's awesome to see it coming together.
state your name and address, please.
Oh, Dallas Severs, 620 West Decker Street, Brookwell. I hear a lot of worry on the fundraising. I just hope you guys can really stay positive. I think there's a lot of people that are kind of waiting to see where everything goes and are waiting for communication to get out to them and how they can help. You know, I don't want to say there's a small army, but there's a lot of people that are interested and have other ideas and they know more people. And so it can spread. They have more connections at other businesses that might be willing to give. So I'm hoping that we can, maybe there's a packet or a bunch of information or that can be gathered rather quickly so that I can take it and go to other people. So, and present, we need this much money. This is where we're at. This is what we're getting. So right on. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Hi, Monica Matos, 619 Northeast Avenue. Yeah, thank you. This is exciting. I really love that donor wall. I think it's super cool looking and yeah, I think that's a great idea. I wanted to just say that there's a site called Give Butter that is unlike GoFundMe, it's for 501c3s and you get 100% of everything. There's like an optional tips button. And as long as you keep that activated, that's asking people to cover the credit card processing fees. And as long as that's activated, they'll still cover whatever people don't cover. So just as an option, if you're a 501c3, you can do that and get all of the funds raised. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Emlyn Jones from 102 Western Avenue. Yeah, thank you guys for getting us this far. I really appreciate all the work. I like your thought process, hearing you guys through it all. I'd love a chance, if it was possible, to talk to the designer about the tree process and how to keep those healthy and how to design around that. Yeah. You know how to contact me, or maybe I got to reach out to you, Steve or whoever. Also, I noticed I think it was $5,000 for demo. Is that what was budgeted for the park? I don't know if this is possible or not, but I would be willing to look at, possibly taking that on as my business, taking that on as a donation to help cut down on costs. I have good equipment set up for it, and it would be lower impact. I would feel good about, working around those trees. I'm not sure who would be doing that and if I could trust them or not, but I would be nervous a little bit. So I'd almost be happy to try to take that on. I just need to some more details, just communication. We should talk more, if possible. So, that's all that's coming to mind now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Got a few people online. It does not look like anybody is interested in making a comment at this time, though.
Okay. Guess we're looking for a motion to adjourn.
This is Emma, and I make a motion to adjourn.
Say Jay, I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
I
Aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. We are adjourned. Thank you.